Hello and welcome guys to the brand new series, how to become a Hearthstone pro player. So the first and really easy thing is to just go to some kind of Hearthstone website with a lot of deck lists. I can give you links down below in the comments. Choose the latest deck list. So there are a lot of decks that are created by pro players and they manage to hit like rank 1 legend or just a really good position in top 100. So then you can copy this deck and use it on your own, because most of those new Hearthstone players are not experienced enough to create their own super powerful deck list. So this is just much easier to use someone else's work. Then it's really important to play with only one deck. So if you're grinding to legend or just to rank 5, and if you're not really experienced player, then this is much better than switching a few decks and playing with like 3 or 4 deck lists. It's just much better to focus on one, because then you will also have your mindset on like playing, for example, just with the aggressive deck, and then you are going to think pretty like straightforward, only should I go face, occasionally trade, and so on and so on. But if you will switch between the control deck, then between the mid-range and also aggressive, you will have completely different mindset, plus also it will make you a little bit worse, because you are not going to focus 100% on just playing with this one deck list. So this is like the first thing you can do. Then watch a lot of streams. So there are a lot of players that are actually playing Hearthstone a lot. They're more or less explaining what they are doing, so then you can just learn and see what you should do. There is a video that one of the viewers sent me, so I would like to review it, say what he's doing right and what he's doing wrong, because then we can all make our Hearthstone experience better and also become a better player. If you want to see your gameplay in the next video, send me it on the email via Dropbox, but there are two really important conditions. First, the quality of the video. So I mean that the resolution should be really good, because then we can just enjoy the really good looking video. And the second thing, change the language of the game to English, because then we can all understand every single card and every single effect. On the left you can see the deck list that my viewer was using, and on the right a few changes that I would like to make to this deck to make it just better fit to the ladder, because Spellbreaker is really important against taunt minions, plus also possessed lucky, a few deferral and buffed cards. But to be honest, like if you are playing tempo, it almost equals aggressive deck. You just want to go face, and then you need a Spellbreaker to silence any kind of taunt minion, and then play, for example, Leroy. So I think a Spellbreaker is a really good addition. Also, you will need some kind of big finisher against those control decks, which is Lich King, or you can just put the second copy of the Kobolds Cable. So those are the changes that I would like to make instead of Counterfeit Coin and Sonya Shadow Dancer, because I have played with this kind of deck list, but to be honest, the deck list on the left side is a little bit weaker, because if you will top deck in the late game Counterfeit Coin or Sonya, this is just terrible. So then you are looking for this really powerful endgame cards, which is Lich King or Kobolds Cabling. Okay, so right now we'll jump right into the game. So he decided to mulligan every single card, which makes a lot of sense because all of them are useless. Then there is a really important choice between playing Southsea Deckhand or Firefly. Let's see what he decided to do. Okay, so he played Southsea Deckhand, and this is a wrong play, because Firefly is much better, because then you are saving charge out from the Southsea Deckhand for later, when you will have your hero power equipped. So when you will have a dagger, you can just get additional 2 points of damage. Plus also, usually we are playing pirate and getting patches out if we'll need this. So what I mean by this, so first you were playing minions without charge and then playing minions with charge. I have seen many pro players during the tournaments with this kind of situation. They just went for the Firefly, and this is much better because then for example, this mage can just coin out hero power, deal with the 2-1 minion, and this is basically that. So you won't get additional 2 points of damage, so you're losing to yeah, just 2 points of damage. So this is better to play Firefly first and Sophsy Deckhand usually with your hero power later. Even if you're scared of getting patches, you should go for the Firefly because the odds of getting patches are really small. So then he's got coin out from top deck, so it's really important to save coin for the next turn for Elven Minstrel. So right now he's thinking, should I use hero power on or play Firefly? I think in this situation Firefly is much better because then he can develop 2 small minions. So basically it means that on the next turn he will deal 2 additional points of damage to the opponent, and hero power is not really doing much because you don't even have Sophsy Deckhand, so it's not giving you charge, so you're basically skipping the whole turn. So like Firefly means much more tempo and much more damage because your opponent will need to, for example, coin a volcanic potion, and if they won't have this card, then they will get more damage because of the Firefly on the board. Opponent played Kirin Tormage and Secret. After this play, we know that this is aggressive tempo mage, so this might be explosive trap or counterspell. He decided to use counterfeit coin, which makes a lot of sense because if this is counterspell, then he is counterspelling coin, which is a really good deal. And he decided to go for Elven Minstrel to just get those 2 cards. So this is play around every single secret, which is really fine because then he will get other cards. He's triggering explosive rune. Plus also he still can trade pretty easily into Kirin Tormage, so I think every single play here is fine. He also decided to use his hero power rather than patches because he's got Sophsy Captain plus also Sonya Shadow Dancer that he can just use with the patches, because if he will play Sonya, then he can play, for example, patches once again and once again as long as he will have enough mana, or just buff it with Sophsy Captain. And at this stage of the game he's not really afraid of taking damage, because even if he's playing against aggressive deck, they will need to still decrease his health total to much lower amount to then burst him with for example double fireball. So it's really fine. This turn is really good. He played biggest minions on board. It's fine because you can wait to just make your Corridor Creeper cost 0 mana or play it right away, which is still fine. A 3 mana 5/5, the biggest card that you can actually develop on board right now, which also makes sense. The other card was Sophsy Captain plus also Firefly, which in my opinion was also really good, because then if Corridor Creeper will cost 0 mana, you can play it with the Bone Mare right away on turn 7, or just pretty easily combo Elven Minstrel. So in my opinion, it's much better to wait for the Corridor Creeper to just get a discount, but still it's not a wrong play. Okay, so he decided to still kill the Sosa's Apprentice and then get the Firefly back. So basically he's getting another minion that he can combo out, which makes sense more or less. Okay, opponent decided to play a secret just to trigger the battle cry of the Medivh's Valet, which is also a pretty good play, because this means that Sonya Shadow Dancer was like some sort of taunt minion that opponent should kill first, and because of that he can use Corridor Creeper to deal additional points of damage to the opponent first face, or just trade into a Valet. So I think this Sonya Shadow Dancer play was really fine. So in this situation we want to play around the explosive rune. So the first card should be probably Flame Elemental, because he is absorbing the biggest amount of damage from the explosive rune, plus also it allows us to then combo the Elven Minstrel, so it makes a lot of sense. Also, I think maybe even slightly better was just developing a big board with the Edwin, so playing the Flame Elemental, then a Firefly, then another Flame Elemental, and then Edwin, because we would have a really huge Edwin with a really cheap cost, because we can just use those 1-drops to make Edwin much bigger, and card draw is not as that important right now, because you need to think, do you prefer to go for the board control or just for the card draw? And in this situation, card draw is much better against, for example, slower control decks. And if you are playing a mirror matchup, I mean aggressive deck against the aggressive deck, you just want to develop the board as fast as possible and kill your opponent. So creating a really big Edwin can just swing the game completely, because you can apply a lot of pressure, and right now a 3-2 and 2 really weak minions are not really it. So if he can somehow clear the board and then also develop a Cobalt Crystal Runner, then there might be a small problem. But still, there is a 1 mana card that can combo with Vespene Slayer, so like he's got answer to every single card, because this deck is really powerful right now. So it's not going, he's not going to be punished, but I think Edwin was much better. Opponent developed the Secret, Arcanologist, and 0 mana Cobalt Crystal Runner. In this situation, the really good response for it was a Flame Elemental into the Vespene Slayer, because we know that the secret that he played is Explosive Rune, because the other one was a counterspell. So it was a really easy way to get rid of the 5/5, or play the Bone Mare, so then we are playing even better around the Explosive Rune, because I mean, like, at this stage of the game, the only thing that can lose us the game is a really huge amount of burst, so then we are absorbing more damage out from Explosive Rune, because we have enough resources to win the game. So then playing Bone Mare was much better because of the Explosive Rune. We can still trade easily into the whole board, so play Bone Mare on a 1/2, then trade into a 5/5, then he would have to use pink to kill this minion, plus also trade with the Elven Minstrel into a 2/3. I think this is the safest play that you can make, and then there is like no way you are going to win, because your opponent will just, there won't be any way that he can outburst you. So this is like the first play that you can make, which is fine, but then you are clearing the board, but you're not developing a board. So this is like a small problem, but you are playing around every single card, and then you can play a taunt minion, which will be Serenade Changing. Or the another one is take a little bit more damage out from Explosive Rune and also use Vespene Slayer to kill a 5/5, which is maybe even better, because then you've got better bigger board, but you are taking slightly more damage out from Explosive Rune. So both plays are really okay, but he decided to go for the Serenade Changing first, so this is like the halfway there, because he's absorbing 3 points of damage from the Explosive Rune, and then he decided to just get rid of the 5/5 with SI7 agent. So this is like the halfway between the play with the Bone Mare and with the Vespene Slayer. It's not really bad, but I think this is mediocre play. Opponent played Firelands Portal into the SI7 agent, and there is a Corrupting Healbot out from the Firelands Portal. So in this situation, you can easily combo out a Vespene Slayer to get the healing, and then GG, well played, because no way your opponent can just outburst you.